you're rocking Team Red Flag merch, basically. So we know that things are good.
Oh man, listen, Team Red Flag. I'm a little upset that you guys couldn't see my shoes because I only wear red shoes.
Really?
Yeah,
Wizard of Oz
yeah,
style. I love it.
yeah. However, I couldn't bring certain red shoes in for brand purposes and whatnot, so had to stick to something else. But yeah, red's my favorite color. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I try all red suitcase. I'm at the airport now. Got the red backpack. Got it all.
Well, even though you couldn't bring your red shoes in, let's talk about what you brought in mentally into the challenge because I'm
Sure.
a dyed in the wool fan, same as you. And I'll be cards up. There was some scuttlebutt back in the day following War of the Worlds 2 that, some stuff had been done online and that, you were not necessarily being asked back onto the challenge MTV proper. So count me as surprised when nearly 5 years later, you end up showing on our screens in the Challenge USA 2. You talked about the process of sort of going to therapy, self-realizing before coming on, but talk to me a bit about what the process was to get you back into the challenge proper.
Well, the issue was never me on the show. The issue was always my social media presence off the show and like a lot of my antics off the show. So I had to kind of come to grips with the fact, talking to a lot of the producers and the network and everything, like, hey man, you need to wake up because you're almost like throwing away this opportunity that I don't even think you realize is an opportunity. And like we're trying to kind of guide you without like telling you point blank, hey, wake up or we're just gonna have to like sit you for a little bit. And I think that when it became a reality, it was a gut check and it was a very humbling experience. Because being on the show and being able to compete is something I'm very passionate about and I love so much. You know, and whether the reactions online are good or bad, I like being able to entertain everyone.
Mm.
And then I just needed to kind of switch off from like that Conor McGregor uh Joker-esque persona of always trying to kind of stir when I didn't need to be stirring anything. And yeah, it definitely it took a lot, but that journey was such a amazing experience, and it helped me unpack and unload a lot of things in my life and in my past. That I think were causing a lot of that need to always feel like I had to be either striking up some drama, coming at people. But I feel much more peaceful, um, you know, being in this skin now.
Mm. Yeah, that's incredible. Congratulations to that. I mean, listen, I would say that Zen was probably challenged from the get-go, right? Where you're even telling Josh to his face on the boat, I'm not sure if I'm going to be nice to you or what this season. And then cut to the end of yesterday's episode where you are hugging Bananas in a tight embrace. I'm so intrigued. What led you to those relationships being rebuilt? Was it as simple as we're on the same team together, got to work together, or was this a philosophy you intended going into the show?
Um, I would say a little bit of both, right? I think like us being on the same team definitely kept from almost like targeting one
Mm.
another. Um, I think the mentality was still going to be the same, where I was going to change it and just kind of be like, hey, listen, no hard feelings, but this is just a game. I wasn't going to really explode. I wasn't going to come in and be in their faces. I didn't really feel like I needed to be. After 4 years, it's like, yeah, we still had a lot of animosity towards each other. We still had a lot of like unresolved business. But when we were put on a team, like you almost kind of need to hash that out immediately. And be like, hey, listen, like whatever happened in the past, like we have to leave it there. Let's work through this. If we want to pick it back up, let's pick it back up afterwards. We already got a lot to deal with. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot that I, had to practice and train myself going into being like, all right, I may be in these circumstances. How do I keep myself level headed? How do I keep myself, cool headed? Because ultimately my end goal here is to win championships.
Mm.
And you can't do that if you're almost like focusing and fixating on like things that don't really matter in the long run in the game. Like you could hash all that stuff out outside of the game. And we all have at this point. But you know, you can't talk that talk that I've always talked of like, I'm great, I'm a challenge legend, I want to be the best, I got to beat the best. And then like, you don't go in there like with the mindset that the best have. Like they don't really care like about the drama. Like, yeah, they'll have drama and stuff like that, but they're only focusing on getting to the end and winning, right?
Mm.
Like the Johnnies, the CTs, the Wesses, the Durrells, the Caras, the Laurels, like all those people. Um, I have to like take that kind of approach now.
So when it comes to your strategy this season, because we didn't see much of it, but of course, the prevailing narrative was the MTV vets versus the CBS alumni. And you were part of like this weird middle where you technically got your start on CBS, but you've been on the MTV show much more recently. What was sort of your position in it, considering that you have someone like Johnny who is so vocal about consistently being targeted? But you also have connections to the CBS side as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was in a really good spot this season. That Hopper just really threw like a crazy twist, right? Where all it takes is
Mm.
one vote, right? And in my case, all it took was 3 votes. But I really was in the process of setting up the chess pieces at that point, right? And it's almost like I was playing like I love, as much as I like to back up everything like from a competitive standpoint, and that's always great to have like that leverage of like I can win dailies. If you throw me into an elimination, I got a good chance of coming back. But I love the strategic side of like playing chess. But like this game, I knew in my head, I'm like, all right, I could set up the board as best as I can, but at any point in time, it could almost get smacked off the table. And that was the Hopper.
Mm.
And it's a little frustrating because like I love to show the game strategy. I mean, you go back to War of the Worlds 2, like I loved, the game of chess, right? I loved going in there without the numbers, gathering the numbers, manipulating the matchups that I needed to in order to get the numbers, keep the numbers, and then roll on. Um, and as far as the vets who always want to talk about being targeted and whatever, I've had so many conversations with them where I'm like, hey guys, like, like it is what it is, right? Like you can't say you're great and you can't say you're the best and then expect to come in and get like a walk to the end. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm.
have 0 championships and like I'm not crying about being targeted. Early on, I almost take it as like a badge of honor. Like, yeah, target me. I'm a threat. You know what I mean? If you don't get me out early, I'm gonna run far and I've got a good chance of making it to the end. And if I make it to the end, it's only a matter of time before I actually win that championship. So I try and say that to them, but I don't know, like that, they get all butthurt when like rookies catch on to the game early and do exactly what they've done for years. And I credit new players for being able to do that. I mean, I did that as a new player. So I love that the competition side of it is going up and it almost, it forces these legends of the game, they have to kind of change up their style a little bit and they almost have to
Mm.
accept the fact like, hey, coming with the greatness comes with this, right? Like you look at the greats across any sport, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, like Messi, right? Like people aren't going into playing against these people and saying, all right, yeah, hey, Tom Brady, I'm just going to let you throw 7 touchdowns this game. Like, no, they're trying to sack him, they're trying to intercept his passes. They're not going, hey, Michael Jordan, yeah, drop 40 or 50 this game. Like, no, they got to go in there, get it done. Like Messi had to score 3 goals in the World Cup final against France because Mbappe is like a younger generation of GOAT, right? And he
Mm.
scored 3 goals, right? So like he scored 3 goals. Messi was like, oh, no. I need this World Cup to solidify my legacy. I'm scoring 3 goals. So
So
I wish the OGs would take that kind of approach to getting targeted.
you talk about being in this really good spot. Let's say because Red came close a couple times to winning a challenge. You win a daily. You're going into this deliberation. We saw a lot of Red team meetings, but we have Josh and we have Bananas on one side, and then we have Chanel and we have Tiffany and we have Michelle on the other side. Where do you think things would have fallen, what side would you have chosen in that struggle back and forth?
You know, that was always the interesting question, like what was going to happen if Team Red Flags won, because um, we all really didn't know where each other lied. I mean, Janae like voted for a red team like first, and we didn't have any idea it was her until she was gone, and somebody was like, "Yeah, Janae did that," and I was like, "I didn't expect that to be her." Honestly, at that point, I really don't know which side I would have, you know, fell on, just because I did have relationships on both sides, but I like to play the game, almost where it's like we're kind of flowing together. Like I don't ever like to play a game where it feels like a side that I'm working with is putting a gun to my head, being like, do this or else. I
Mhm.
almost at that point start to look at who I need to target on that side. Um, and that's kind of how like, it felt on both sides for me. So that's why I was like trying to ride the middle as much as possible. And if I had to make a decision, I was going after, floater style people, like other people like me who were like kind of riding the middle. That way it's a more clearer line as to where people lie and those people will still target each other. I don't want those like middle people who are kind of a little bit dangerous because they could take one side that they're working with and be like, all right, time to flip it and do that, right? Like that's the style that I was going for. I like to target other people that could play that same game.
Last thing I want to ask, what is one thing that didn't make the edit from your time in the house that you wished we saw, either strategically, comedically, personally, etc.?
Um, well, we can't really touch on too many things off the editing floor, but I will say, just because this is fun and lighthearted, but it doesn't go with how the things flow like with the episodes. But when I got eliminated, everybody ran down and hugged me. And I like almost started crying like right then and there. Um, because I've never played a game where people wanted to see me stay. So like that really kind of, because like I had a lot of conversations in the house, and like everybody I think kind of came to me as like a zen person, because like I stay calm, cool, and collected no matter what, and that house was very paranoia driven, but I stayed calm, cool, and collected the whole time. um but like when I got eliminated and everybody ran down and hugged me, I really kind of like felt like that, like, oh, and like even Johnny hugged me again,
Hmm.
before I hugged TJ and ran out. So that was like a really, beautiful emotional moment for me. And I didn't know how to process it all, but like I'm very thankful for having that impact on people, and like they truly had an impact on me. And I really like cherish like those friendships. Now I hope that didn't get them in trouble moving forward. Like if people were kind of being like, all right, now we saw everybody that ran down and hugged Paulie, now we're gonna get them, but it was beautiful.